Slavic Aryan Vedas, Book 2, The Book of Light, The Word of Wisdom, the Magus Velimudra, Part 1, Vision. Since ancient times, our ancestors paid great attention to the preservation of ancient wisdom hidden in various sacred sources, whether they be Santi, Kharati, sagas, or words. They preserved the ancient sanctuaries of wisdom for their descendants, so that those who develop a thirst for the hidden could quench this thirst in the pure springs of primordial wisdom. By opening their hearts to the knowledge of preserved runic texts from ancient times, people, quenching their thirst for knowledge, do not act cunningly and strive to follow the destined golden path, that is, the path of spiritual development. They do not boast of their knowledge before others, for they find the highest purpose in their lives based on the understanding of the hidden ancient meaning. Ancient wisdom draws their souls and spirit to the pure source of primordial light, to the ancient faith of our ancestors, yngliizm. Good people, having found the pure primordial light in their souls, carry it to others who dwell in the darkness of disbelief and ignorance. By discovering the original, forgotten ancient wisdom lost in the ages, people begin to perceive the surrounding natural world in all its indescribable beauty and magnificent diversity. Like enlightened, inspired people experience life differently. Their inner world transforms, where the soul, spirit, and conscience develop harmoniously, allowing the fern flower to bloom in the heart of each individual. The second book in the series, Slavic Aryan Vedas, includes the Book of Light, or the Kharatia of Light, as well as the Word of Wisdom from Volkva Velimudra. This allows modern people from Slavic Aryan lineages to touch the inexhaustible source of ancient wisdom, and to drink from this source. The living power of ancient wisdom, quenching their thirst for knowledge, a person begins to feel again like a son or grandson of the ancient gods, rather than a mindless, voiceless slave. The form of presentation of the text in the Book of Light is figurative, and differs from what is currently accepted in everyday life and various scientific religious circles. In the original source, the Kharatia of Light was recorded using trigrams, that is, Dorian figurative symbols, which combined hieroglyphic signs conveying multidimensional magnitudes and diverse runes. In ancient times, the Kharatia of Light were also recorded in the Harian Korun, a runic script for convenience in reading and rewriting, as the Kharaki are parchment sheets made from animal skins, on which ancient runes are inscribed. To publish the text in modern Russian, the Harian runic version of Kharatia of Light and a translation into Russian made about 250 years ago were used as the basis. However, the accuracy of the meaning of the translation was verified by the Dorian trigram. Moreover, the lines of the runic text in Kharatia of Light differ from the lines of the runes that were recorded with the Anti-Aveda rune. For according to the rules of Koruna, when recording a text translated from another language, the line was doubled, meaning the line of text now contained not 16, but 32 runes, 12 and 32 runes. In ancient times, the Harian runes were used everywhere among the peoples of the great race due to the simplicity of their inscription, and the Daryan tracts were very complex to write, and therefore they could only be used by the Daryan priest-keepers. Since this book is published not only for church use but also for general use, Kharati and Sveta are printed in two versions, first in Harian runes and then in Russian, Father Alexander. The Book of Light is a remarkable tale. Kharatia 1, the very first chapter, the beginning of an epic journey. In the year of the fire priestess, on the 576th circle of life, from the great migration from Daria, according to the cycle of the number of our God, on the day of the 3 moons, honored in the Asgard of Iri, explore children of the great race and descendants of the heavenly kin, about the ancient times, about the ancient wisdom, preserved by the priests, about the beginning of all that is known to people, and for the coming times, in the character of the light, inscribed by Darung Verit. In the glory of the gods, in the greatness of the kin, may you comprehend with your heart the greatness of the world, through what the song of the sorcerer Sladogor will tell, preserved in the Daryan kin of the Parda. Once, or rather at a time when there were no times, no worlds and realities as perceived by us humans, there was, without embodiment, only the great Ramha. He manifested in a new reality, and from the perception of the new boundless infinity, he was illuminated with the great light of joy. And then the infinite new eternity appeared, born in a new reality, and an infinite number of its manifestations emerged. Thus, what we, humans, perceive as the space of the worlds of Yavi, Navi and Pravi came into being. As soon as the great Ramha manifested in a new reality, a super great absolute something appeared in the infinite new eternity. And since it was not what the great Ramha is, this super great absolute something contained the seed of evil, for everything that, from the highest point of view of the all-perfect, is imperfect, is relative evil. And then the great Ramha was illuminated by the great light of joy, and from him flowed the great stream of Yngliya, the primordial living light, that is, his unspeakable breath. The unspeakable light surged forth, and something great sounded. At that very moment, when the primordial living light moved no less than one peaceful fraction of a line from the greatest source of Ingli, the primordial living light ceased to be a part of what we humans call the great Ramha, just as the light from Yarila the sun or the burning torches are not Yarila the sun or the torches. The primordial living light drove away the gloom, the super great absolute nothingness, devoid of divine light. And in some places it pierced through her, leaving no trace, while in other places it shone with the brightest light, flooding the great spaces, and further flowed the dazzling stream of light. But the further the primordial living light moved away from that which we, humans, call the great Ramha, the dimmer the light of Ingli became, increasingly pushing and moving away the gloom of non-existence, the gloom of emptiness. In every accumulation of primordial living light, numerous worlds and realities appeared. And so, far, far away from that which we humans call the great Ramha, the primordial living light of his spilled out one last time, like a cluster of the great. In this primordial living light, living beings appeared, for the life of the giver was Ingli. A part of the primordial living light poured into the deep lows and mingled there with darkness and gloom. Primordial flashes mysteriously appeared, from which our universe and the higher universes were born. But everywhere, both in the heights and in the depths, a strip of primordial living light flowed like a blue river, not mingling with the gloom. Often referred to as the golden path or the heavenly area. From top to bottom in the new reality, various worlds were reflected from the surface of the heavenly area, and in them, special realities populated by unique beings developed. The higher the realities are located, the greater the number of senses the beings inhabiting them were endowed with. And in every area of the golden path, there was not just one reality, but a multitude of diverse realities. Moreover, the beings inhabiting them had the same number of senses, but the feelings of the beings in these realities were different, lying next to each other. Such is our infinite new eternity in a new reality, where great clusters of the primordial living light still burn, of which our suns are a faint hue. The primordial life-giving light connected numerous realities, giving rise to the great trees of worlds. Just as the branches of a tree, the primordial living light connected the leaves of reality with the mighty shining trunks, while the trunks of the world trees extended their roots into the infinite new eternity, born in a new reality. And the bright power of the tree of worlds is derived from the bright waters of the heavenly Iri. Thus a garden was created in Iri, which occupies half of the heavenly sphere. Otherwise, other infinities were indeed formed in our infinite Ingli, existing there high in the heights, but far from the one we humans call the Great Ramha, where great clusters of the primordial living light spread. There are our higher gods, one of whom we call by the name of Svorok, and who is the God of the worlds and realities of our infinity. There are absolutely more Svarojics than infinities existing in our infinite Inglia. Those of the bright gods who are not the higher gods of infinity reside in the shining world of spiritual power. Svarojics are infinitely great and infinitely powerful compared to us. We can speak of them as all perfect, powerful, all good and all knowing. We are right to place the higher gods above all that is accessible and comprehensible to us. But any of the beings living within any of us, on the smallest particle, revolving around the primordial foundation, also relates in power to Svarog, as Svarog relates to the one we call the Great Ramha. Each smallest particle of our body, stone or tree is a kind of solar system, with the sun as the bright center, surrounded by lands where billions of thinking beings live and develop, sometimes surpassing us, humans, in their intellectual and moral development. More important than what has been said now may be that in the infinite new eternity, in the new reality that has been born, there is an equally boundless unknowable abyss below as there is above. And what is below is similar to what is above, and what is above is the foundation for the similarity of what is below, according to the original will of the primordial one, whom we humans call the Great Ramha. Comments by Kharatia. In the year of the Priestess of Fire, in the 576th circle of life, from the great migration from Darya, according to the God's number cycle. This is the year 83,075. From the great migration from Darya, or the year 78,047. From the founding of Asgard of Iri, which corresponds to 26,731 years, before the modern calendar. On the day of the 3 moons, the festival of the 3 moons, on the day when the 3 moons united in the sky, the construction of Asgard of Iri and the great shrine of Ingli, the great temple of the sacred primordial fire, was begun. This day is considered the day of the founding of the sacred city of the gods at the confluence of the Iri and Omi rivers. Asgard of Iri has a god living on earth, Gard, a city, a fortress of gods on the river Iri, the modern Irtish. It was built in the year 5028 from the great migration from Darya, 104,678 years before the modern calendar, 578 years for the modern calendar. Currently, the modern city of Omsk is located on its site, which is also situated at the confluence of the Omi and Irtish rivers. In translation from ancient Hurrian, Iri, white pure water. From this semantic meaning, the name of the territory, Belovodye, emerged. Asgard of Iri was destroyed by the Dzungars in the year 7038, from the creation of the world. And 130 years later, Russian historian cartographer Semyon Remezov, while creating maps of Siberia and visiting the site of the destroyed Asgard,
wrote to Tsar Alexei Mikhailovich Romanov that it was necessary to restore the ruined city at the confluence of the Ami and Irtysh rivers. However, the Romanovs, who seized power in Russia, had no need for the ancient city of the gods, as it did not fit into the new history they began to fabricate for the Russian state. Therefore, Semyon Remezov wrote the same thing on the 21st page of his drawing book of Siberia, which was published during the reign of Alexei Mikhailovich's son, Romanov Peter Rapon, in the summer of 1704, 20 years after the publication of Remezov's drawing book, Siberia. In the year 722-24, by the decree of Tsar Peter I, the Omsk fortress was built at the confluence of the Ami and Irtysh rivers, which later became a city. In ancient Etruscan history, there are numerous mentions in historical records of 4 earthly cities named Asgard. This is the Daryan Asgard, which was located on the summit of Mount Mira, Meru, in the sacred land of Daria on the sunken northern continent, Artida, Hyperborea, Severia. Irian Asgard, which was mentioned above. Sogdian Asgard was located in Central Asia, near Ashgabat, in Sogdiana, the only country that gave a worthy resistance to the armies of Alexander the Great. The Svetiot Asgard was located in the territory of Scandinavia. After the Great Fire, when Asgard burned down, a new city was built in its place, named Uppsala.
Kharati, sacred texts, spiritual philosophical treatises, and historical narratives written on parchment sheets. Darun was called a person endowed with the gift of connecting runic images that describe the events taking place, able to record the connected image of events in verses that were inscribed on wooden tablets, leather, parchment sheets of Kharati, and plates of noble metal santi. Darungan was also called a person who writes chronicles. Pard or pardus is an animal of the cat family that existed in ancient times in the territory of Russia, resembling a snow leopard. The great Ramka is the original unified unknowable essence, radiating the life-giving light of joy and the primordial fire of the universe, Inglia, from which all existing universes, as well as all inhabited worlds and realities, emerged. The great flow of Inglia, the life-giving light and primordial fire of the universe, in which the universes and our system of eerily sun with Midgorod Earth emerged. The great tree of worlds, universal world structures. In Midgard Earth, these universal world structures were embodied in the images of sacred trees, still revered by white people to this day: Igi, Yggdrasil, oak, birch, ash, and others. These sacred trees were indeed personified with the light gods: Ig, with the warrior god Odin; oak, with the thunder god Perun; birch, with the light-faced Volda, mother of God; ash, with the generous Tar, rain god. The celestial Iri was called the golden path of spiritual development in ancient times. Moreover, the Milky Way was also referred to as the celestial Iri. Viri Garden, celestial abodes where the bright gods and the wise ancestors of all Slavo-Aryan tribes live, who now inhabit Midgard Earth. Svarog, the bright Slavic supreme god, governing the heavens and life in our universe. The world of spiritual power, multidimensional and diverse world, existing at higher levels of the golden path compared to the manifest world of Midgard Earth. Lands. Slavs and Aryans referred to heavenly objects that revolve around a central luminary, the sun or a star, as lands.